Manchester. Shukri Abdi was swimming with other children, but she didn't know how to swim. She only arrived in this country 2 years before as part of a United Nations resettlement scheme. Her death led to protests after her family claimed they were let down by the police investigation, alleging institutional racism that the family say blinded the police to the issue of bullying, which Shukri suffered. But today, a coroner has ruled that the death was accidental, and the Independent Office for Police Conduct say Greater Manchester Police did not treat the family less favourably because of their ethnicity. Our Home Affairs correspondent Darshna Soni has done the only broadcast interview with the family, and she joins us now from Bury. Darshna.
Today was a distressing day for the family of Shukri Abdi. Their beloved girl was just 12 when she drowned in a river not far from home. And her mum has been speaking to me about her pain, telling me that as soon as she heard a body had been found in the river, she knew instinctively that it was her daughter. And it was the events immediately after that drowning that came to symbolise the mistrust that exists between some of our most marginalised communities and the police. Because initially there was a feeling here that the police hadn't investigated properly, that they were too quick to conclude that this was an accident. Today they were cleared of this. The police watchdog, the IOPC, found that the family's ethnicity didn't influence the way that officers treated the family. But Shukri Abdi's family and many others here have questioned these findings, and that, I think, illustrates the mistrust that exists. The Black Lives Matter protests had chanted Shukri's name, demanding a full inquest. Today, that inquest has concluded that the 12-year-old's drowning was an accident.
When she's growing up, she wanted to be a doctor. She's happy, she's friendly, she's quiet.
This is how Zamzam Toure wants to remember her 12-year-old daughter.
You hear me? This is
Shukri's death by drowning led to accusations of racism in the official investigation. Her name a rallying cry for the Black Lives Matter protests.
I'm a mom. I lost my daughter. I feel painful and heart pain.
Today, the family heard a coroner rule that a child who had led Shukri into the water breached her duty of care towards Shukri, and that this made a significant contribution to her death. But, the coroner ruled, this didn't amount to manslaughter, and the drowning was an accident.
The verdict of accidental death brings to a close a painful chapter for the family, one which has been made even more painful due to the failure of all the institutions that were meant to protect Shukri.
On the 27th of June last year, two other children, known only as Child 1 and Child 2, invited Shukri to go swimming. The 12-year-old initially tried to say no, but according to the inquest, the two others got angry and turned up at her locker, persuading her to go. If they hadn't, the coroner said, Shukri would have stayed at school. There followed a trip to Primark, where they were accused of trying to steal some clothes. CCTV footage suggests Shukri wanted to go home, but was again persuaded to stay. The children ended up at the River Irwell in Bury. Some of the evidence that followed was so distressing that Ms Toure had to leave court.
I said no, no, no.
So that must have been very upsetting.
Yeah, too much. That's too much painful. That's why I was crying.
On the way to the river, the court heard that Child 1 had said to Shukri, "If you don't get in the water, I'll kill you." But the coroner found this was not meant with malice. The coroner said Shukri entered the water because Child 1 encouraged her and told Shukri she would teach her how to swim. Realising she was in too deep, Shukri panicked and tried to hold on to Child 1's neck. Child 1 let go and swam back. But the coroner ruled there was no evidence that Child 1 intended to kill Shukri. That phone footage taken earlier suggests Shukri had been in the company of friends having fun.
The court of public opinion can see for itself what happened here. There's no more need for speculation or rumours. And whether or not the court of law found for us today or not, the court of public opinion knows what the truth is.
Campaigners believe Shukri's story raises wider questions about trust between the police and some of Britain's most marginalised communities. Shukri's mum had fled the conflict in Somalia and her children were born in a refugee camp in Kenya. They were brought to the UK under the United Nations resettlement scheme for the most vulnerable families. They were housed in Bury. Mrs. Toure says the family were happy here at first. But, she says, when her daughter went to middle school, she was often bullied and nothing was done despite her many complaints.
Every day my daughter, she come to me, sometimes she cries, sometimes she say, Mom, I don't want to go to this school.
The school has since changed its name. They didn't want to give us an interview but told us they were saddened by Shukri's death.
Shukri Abdi! Shukri Abdi!
Following the initial police response, many in the community felt that Greater Manchester Police had made assumptions about the Somali community, that they failed to investigate the case properly. But today the police watchdog, the IOPC, found no evidence that Shukri's family were treated less favourably because of their ethnicity. The force told us their thoughts remain with Shukri's loved ones. Ms. Toure told me that they came here to the UK for a better life, only for her beloved eldest daughter to die in the most traumatic of circumstances. She now wants to go back to Kenya.
I need to go back in Kenya with my bones of my daughter. I don't want to go without my daughter in this country. I need to move because now I feel like bad thing and bad situation.
So you feel you can't stay in this country now?
No.
The 12-year-old's family are now considering a judicial review against today's ruling. Darshna Soni, Channel 4 News, Bury.